Okay, so when you're walking through like a furniture store, checking out a cool new desk, or even just on a construction site watching them put up a house.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about what those boards are actually made of?
It's funny you mentioned that. I bet most people don't even realize it's the work of an engineered wood board machine operator.
Seriously. And let me tell you, after looking at all this research you sent over, it's a lot cooler than it sounds.
Right. It's like this blend of old school woodworking, but with super modern technology. We're talking about taking those tiny wood fibers and particles, even cork sometimes, and like fusing them together with these crazy strong adhesives.
Yeah, almost like making a super strong smoothie. But instead of something you drink, you get, well, like tough building materials. But
Exactly.
we're not talking about just some simple glue and sawdust here, right?
No, no, not at all. Actually, one of the sources talked about something called continuous pressing, I think. Basically, they use these huge, and I mean huge EE, heated presses to make one giant sheet of engineered wood. That's how they make those massive boards you see.
Continuous pressing, wow. No wonder it takes someone who can handle more than just a hammer and nails.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
These operators are basically conducting an orchestra of machinery. They're the ones making sure it all works, calibrating everything, keeping an eye on the bonding process with the temperature and pressure and all that. They're the reason that final product is like top tier.
So it's not just knowing how to work the machine, you got to get the science behind it too.
Yeah, exactly. And that was something that really jumped out at me from the research too. It's not just a physically tough job. You need some serious brain power too.
You've got me curious now. What kind of problems might an operator run into on, say, just a regular day?
Okay, so imagine this. You're watching everything on the production line, right? And suddenly, the moisture level in the wood chips goes haywire, way too high.
Uh-oh.
Not good.
And, too much moisture, that means a weaker final product. That's when the operator has to step up, figure out what's going on, maybe tweak the dryer settings, or even fix the dryer itself if it's broken. It's their job to make sure those boards are top quality. They got to think fast.
Man, talk about pressure.
Mm,
I can see why being detail-oriented and good under stress would be important.
absolutely. And it makes you realize when you look at how much stuff around us is made with engineered wood furniture, floors, even parts of buildings, it really hits home how vital their work is.
So, from the sounds of it, being an engineered wood board machine operator, it's not your average job, huh? You get to combine technical skills with, like, thinking on your feet. But what about the career itself? I mean, if someone's thinking about this path, what should they expect?
Well, the research we looked at, it paints a pretty bright picture. First off, there's a big demand for skilled operators right now. It's only going to keep growing. I mean, think about it. Construction's booming. Everyone's talking about sustainable building materials, and engineered wood is right there in the spotlight.
Exactly. And you know what that means. Job security, good salaries, the whole package. One source even mentioned some companies are offering, like, signing bonuses, relocation packages, the works. They're really trying to attract the best people.
Wow, that says a lot about how well the industry's doing. And hey, it's not just about finding any job, it's about having choices. But you're right, money isn't everything. What's the actual work like? I imagine it feels pretty good to see those huge boards coming off the line, knowing you helped make that happen.
It's definitely rewarding. That feeling of accomplishment. The sources we read, they emphasize that a lot. The satisfaction of working with your hands, building something real, you
Yeah.
know? And it's not just the physical part, it's understanding the how and why behind it, solving problems, making sure everything's top quality.
It's like being a modern day craftsperson, but with high tech tools. Though, we gotta be real, the sources did mention some downsides too.
All right, it's always good to be realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be physically demanding. You're on your feet a lot. Sometimes you have to lift heavy stuff, and it can get pretty noisy and dusty in those factories.
I bet safety gear is a must then, right?
Oh, absolutely. Safety's priority number one. But you can also look at these challenges as, like, opportunities. You're building strength. You're learning to work safely. You're paying attention to every little detail. These are all skills that are valuable anywhere, not just in a factory.
That's a great way to look at it, turning the tough parts into chances to learn and grow. What about people who like a lot of variety in their work, though? I remember the sources mentioning repetitive tasks, which might not be for everyone.
Yeah, that's true. There's definitely room for problem solving and quick thinking, but you're also monitoring machines, keeping things consistent, following those strict procedures.
So maybe a better fit for someone who likes to perfect a process, make sure it's always running smoothly, rather than someone who wants something totally different every day.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right match for your personality. But let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, hey, this sounds interesting. Maybe this is for me. What should they do? How do they actually become an engineered woodboard machine operator?
Yeah, where do you even start?
The good news is you don't need to spend 4 years in college for this. Lots of people start with entry-level jobs, at wood processing places, factories, that kind of thing. It's like an apprenticeship, learning on the job, getting experience with the equipment.
So you're earning while you learn. That's pretty cool.
Exactly. And while you're doing that, there are ways to boost your skills even more, which can mean a better salary down the road.
Like what kind of extra training or qualifications would make someone stand out?
The research mentioned vocational schools. Those are great. Or getting certified in things like uh, wood technology, machine operation, even safety procedures. All that stuff adds up.
It's like adding tools to your toolbox, right? The more you have, the better prepared you are.
Totally. And it's not just about having it on your resume. These programs, they give you that specific knowledge and hands-on practice. So you're not starting from scratch when you get hired.
It shows you're serious about it, you're investing in your future. Okay, so someone's got that entry-level job, they're eager, learning everything they can. What's the path to moving up look like?
Well, usually you start at the bottom, right? Then you move up to junior operator, which means more responsibility, maybe even overseeing some of the newer employees.
So leadership skills are important too, not just the technical stuff.
Absolutely. Then, if you keep showing you're capable, you can become a senior operator. That often means managing a whole team, dealing with those really tricky problems, even working with the engineers to make things run better.
Wow, so it's not just a job, it's a career with real potential to grow and take on more.
For sure. And what I find really cool is how this all ties into the industry as a whole. Because technology is always changing, right? And the demand for sustainable products, it just keeps going up.
And that changes everything, the skills people need, the knowledge they need to succeed.
Exactly. And that brings up a really important point for anyone thinking about this career.
Yeah.
You got to keep learning.
So it's not enough to just be good at the job now. You got to be ready for what's next, always learning new tech and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The research, it even talked about how computer-aided manufacturing, it's becoming the norm now. Operators are using software to control everything, monitor the whole process. Pretty high tech, right?
Makes sense. We're seeing that everywhere these days. Computers making things faster, opening up new possibilities.
Right. And when we're talking engineered wood, sustainability, that's a huge factor in all this innovation. Remember those super strong adhesives we talked about? Well, some companies now, they're using plant-based resins, like literally from plants, not petroleum.
Whoa, plant-based adhesives. That's wild. So it's not just about how strong you can make it, it's also about the environmental impact. That's awesome.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that whole shift towards being eco-friendly, it means they need operators who are in the loop, who get those new materials and techniques.
Yeah.
It's a pretty exciting time to be in this field, especially if you care about the planet and all that.
It's like you're building a career and helping build a better future at the same time. But for someone who's maybe a little intimidated by all this talk about technology, where do they even start learning about all this stuff?
That's where that continuous learning thing comes in. The research talked a lot about staying up to date, reading those industry magazines, going to trade shows, maybe even doing some online courses.
So you got to be proactive, keep learning new stuff, even after you've got the job. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I thought was really cool, that desire to learn, it's everywhere in this industry. There's this sense of community, the experienced folks helping out the newbies, sharing what they know. It's a good environment to be in.
A real team effort, everyone pushing to do better, learn more. That's great.
Yeah, it's about always pushing the limits, seeing what they can do with engineered wood, how to make things stronger, greener, more beautiful. It's more than just a job. It's this whole process of discovery and improvement.
Wow, that's a great way to put it. It's not just a board, not just a building material. It's part of something bigger.
That's it. So next time you see a piece of engineered wood, don't just walk by. Think about the skill, the ingenuity, all the people who made that happen. You might be surprised how interesting it really is.
I know I am. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been amazing.